up to speed, up to speed, up to speed.
All right. Live from the apocalypse. Welcome to State of the Game, sponsored by Body Armor Fruit Punch and not Body Armor Zero Sugar Lemon Lime, because that shit tastes gross. So thank you for being here. I am your humble host. Glad to be a part of this situation. And so we have with us today a fire-breathing MC. I was showing my son a battle video versus Icon this morning. Sorry, afternoon, and you know, Icon did his thing, and then your turn came, and you said, "You're the first dude out here with a throwback from Walmart." And
No.
his head pivoted, and he was like, "Oh, Walmart sucks." And it was like, yeah, he did that thing.
Bro. You know, and that's the thing I try to tell people, man. And it's like, not to cut you off, you know,
No,
that's what you had to do. They just
right.
put people in front of you, and you just had to go off of like what they were wearing,
Right.
what they're, you know, nowadays you get 3 months to prepare, but like back then it was just like, what can I say about this guy? And he made it easy with that jersey, and like he had like the fucking bald head, like
Yep.
super, like I'm like, he's like fucking like 22 with a baldy. He had a fucking Walmart throwback, like
Yep.
yeah, I had fun with that one.
Yeah, I mean, you were on fire with that one. I mean, it was so crazy.
Yo, let me tell you, the story behind that though is like there was $1,000 pot for that.
Yeah.
I was fucking. This was in New York City.
Yeah.
I was fucking broke. I was desperate. I fucking needed that money. And there was another MC from around my area that I had lost to in a battle maybe 2 years before. I still say I won, but I lost according to the judge. He was in it too. So I was just, bro, I'm telling you, I was, man, listen.
Had to have it. And that was, it was such a one-sided affair that if you, the YouTube clip that you can find of the battle, you can hear someone standing next to the person filming it go, "That guy's a beast." It's real fun. But yeah, so I was watching these old battles, and you're in a unique position. You had this incredible career. Reef, the Lost Cause, our guest, and I've talked about you a fair amount in this connectivity of the Heart of the Region network is what I call it, right?
Yes.
People who don't graduate out of their region, but stay there and become the heart of it, right? And so, because back in the day, there was the old thing. It was almost like at the end of the game when they say the same quotes of the sports thing, like every rapper would be like, yeah, I'm from Detroit, but now I'm the world's, now I belong to the world. And like, that was the whole quote. And that was what he was trying to do, was graduate from their local environment. And people like you, people like Trey the Truth come to mind, who are like the rock solid ambassadors for the region. And instead of graduating out, brought people to their world. So more people care about Houston because of Trey. More people care about Philly because of you.
Thank you. Yeah, I like that. All right, I like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So at the Heart of the Region situation, but the other thing that is interesting to me, and I've always had this kind of internal theory, and never been able to talk to anybody about it, which is what State of the Game is founded on, is the battle rappers and the difficult situation battle rappers have going from the battling circuit to their solo albums, right? Because you end up doing what I call shadow battling, right? You're still battling, you're just battling the track, right? And you can do that, but then how do you give yourself permission to step outside of that? When I was listening to your discography, I could kind of hear you letting yourself do that more and more.
It was important for me, man. Like, I saw it, bro. I saw people that were like, and no disrespect to them, it's all love. Like, I have love for them, but I saw them being like kind of pigeonholed in that world, man. You know,
Yeah.
and like for me, it was like, okay, I'll do the battle stuff. I'll do the Army of the Pharaohs, fucking hip hop. But when it came to my stuff, like my solo stuff, it was like, okay, let's show the whole bag of tricks, you know? Um, and I think that that's made the world of difference because I didn't want to be just like a battle rapper, bro. Like that shit got me some looks.
Right.
It got me a lot of opportunities. I met a lot of people along the way doing that. But I was like, I got to get the fuck out of this thing. And what the difference was a lot of those guys, that was their whole thing, was just I battle.
Right.
With me, it was like I battle, but I also have music. And
Right.
so after those battles, I would present people with the actual music. And that was always going to be like the calling card, right? So you lose a battle, you win a battle, it doesn't matter at the end of the day because you're still presenting people with what you are outside of that. And that was like really important to me, man, because like I said, I saw that was like I can't even watch that shit now, man. Like the shit now. And I know people might
Yeah.
be like,
Yeah.
oh, I love it, but bro, I can't. Like it's so like just contrived and like I'm like, damn, that's an ill ass bar, but that ill ass bar would sound so much greater over a beat on a
Right.
song that you
Right. Right. I fell out of love with the cipher because of that. I was looking around and I was like, why aren't you guys in the studio?
right.
Right? Why don't we get this energy to a studio? Why don't we know where to do what to do with this? Right.
Right.
Um, and so it was like you just felt people getting stuck there. And you can still see some of the prolific rappers that are constantly getting praised for being prolific are people with battle backgrounds who
Sure.
are just shredding tracks, you know? And it's cool, but like I, as a creative person, my biggest nightmare is leaving talent on the editing room floor, right? Never having gotten to it. So that's what I worry about in that scene. Is
Yeah, I
like,
mean, my whole thing is like, yo, man, there's dudes in that scene that like they make mad bread. You know, they get, you know, whenever their battles drop, it's, you know, 500,000 million views. Like listen, I get it. If you're in a space where you're making money, but as an artist, it's gotta suck to like be like people come up to you and all they talk about is your battles. And it's like, I know a lot of those dudes, they have music outside of that, but people don't know them for that. And that like breaks my heart because some of it's, you know, really good, you know?
right.
Like I think you know, I look at someone like DNA, man, a Philly dude, you know.
Yep.
I would, you know, I would love to see him get out of that shit because I think if he sat down and like really made and that's the thing, he might have some great tracks. I'm
Right.
not aware
Right.
of it because it's like all you see is like the battle thing. It's like I don't know, man. Like I'm glad I got out. Put it like that. I'm glad I made it out.
Yeah. But you've done it in a very specific, very kind of elegant way. Like it almost reminded me we were talking last week with Hellraiser about we started talking recommendation corner about Stevie Wonder, about
Yeah,
Stevie Wonder's transition from early Motown stuff where he was doing covers, right? And sneaking his own originals in
yeah, man.
until he gets to like 1971 and he gets to do his own thing, you know?
Stevie Wonder was the one of the first artists that showed me that like no matter how great a person is like business minded or whatever, because Barry Gordy was so set on this dude being like one thing,
Yep.
and he had this fucking like magnetic, incredible talent that wanted to just explode and do his own thing, and that guy had to fight for that. And
Oh
then
yeah.
once he started being able to do it, everyone was like, "All right, let's shut the fuck up and let him rock." You know what I mean? He
And
was the perfect example of like the industry doesn't understand. You know?
and time again you see that, right? Where like they
Yes.
didn't know what to do with Frank Ocean, and then he had to do Nostalgia Ultra, and then all of a sudden he's everywhere, right? And then everybody's acting like they always loved him. You know, it's fine, it's fine. Like it's what we see all the time. But it's you started to see that with your stuff where you were still fire breathing, like Army of the Pharaohs, hanging out with Vinny Paz, doing that, and then you were starting to talk about the world around you, the political sphere around you, the social, emotional sphere around you, and you were starting to hit that content. and you were preparing your audience for the transition, right? Like that's, and you were preparing yourself for the transition, I'm sure, right? Like writing wise, how did you transition the skill set from, I'm going to shred this track with momentum, energy, cleverness to this is a story about Jerry from my neighborhood?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was if you go back to literally like my first album, like my first the highlight, if you go back to Invisible Empire, um, before I even linked up with Paz or Army of the Pharaohs, I was putting music out. I had already had a deal with Eastern Conference. Like I was all about music and making albums, and I think that was the proof to me that that got overshadowed because so many people thought that I was only on one type of wave. But if you go back to the very beginning, man, like I always tried to write songs and write from different perspectives and have stuff that was entertaining, introspective, not just like battle ready shit. You know what I mean? Crazy concepts, fun, wild, all that stuff was like it was my it was like it was that was my arena. That was my place. But what happens is a lot of times when you get caught up in um being connected with other people or other sounds or other arenas like the battle rap stuff, the Army of the Pharaohs stuff, all that other stuff. I have people to this day, bro, that are like, oh man, like I like this, but like, yo, you got to get on. I'm like, bro, like if you've been listening to me from day one, you know that all my albums are unique. They have different perspectives. I'm talking about different things. I just got more comfortable with making that the forefront. I got more comfortable to your point. I got more comfortable in my writing to be like, you know what, like there's I've proven that realm, right? I've proven like, oh, I can rap, I can chop heads. I proved that. Now let's focus on proving that I can be a great songwriter and be someone that's, you know, talking about some real shit. And I feel like I'm just now getting to a point 20 fucking years in where people are starting to realize like, oh, that's what he's been about the whole time. We just weren't paying attention because the other stuff, the fire breathing, the fucking battle rap, I'm the that shit always took more precedence over the more subtle shit, the more, you know, you talked about Young Bull and stuff like that. Like Young Bull, like all those type of songs, man. I've been doing that shit the whole time. The whole time, bro. And it's like, but now I finally gotten to a point where I feel like the writing matches that same type of energy, so it connects a little bit more, right?
Yeah,
So
that's the strange part of the album journey. And I always tell people like you're like, because there will be people who've worked their whole lives doing this, no one was checking them, and then all of a sudden they drop an album and everyone's checking. And and they're sitting there like, what happened? Right? I was just working this way the whole time. And sometimes I'm in the Zoom with them and I'm like, this album expresses who you are better than anything you've done before. Right?
it can take a long time, man. I mean, I tell people all the time, this I've been working on this album the whole time, bro. This was the album that in the back of my head, some of the beats on there, a song like Fences, I had that beat for 15 years, bro. I knew that there was an album in me that would finally like just kind of encapsulate all of it. The father, the man, um, the MC, the artist, the activist, um, the just all elements of me. And I couldn't for the life of me encapsulate it all in one project until now. And it took me 22 years, but I finally feel like, man, everyone that makes music or does whatever, any type of art, I'm sure with you guys.
Right.
Feel like the last podcast you did was, oh, this is the best. Yo, we killed this one. And it's not until you do another one that you think, oh, maybe this is the best one. For me, I've always been like, oh, the last one, oh, this is my best work. I realize now that was bullshit. I realize that's just something you say. I was saying that, but I didn't really believe that. But I can say, without a doubt, unequivocally, this is the best record that I've ever made. And it took me 22 years to do it. and it because I had to grow. I had to live, I had to learn, I had to become who I am and be so comfortable in that I was able to go to places that I, wasn't able to go before. And yeah, I mean, I think the results speak for themselves. I think anyone who's heard this record
Right.
has felt like, okay, like I've been listening to this dude for a long time. I think this is the one. I literally, man, like people that have been down from day one, that would not lie to me, that would not coddle
Right.
me or
Right.
not bullshit me. They're like, yo, this is it, man. This is it. So we're gonna keep our foot on the gas for this one, man, because I just feel like it's just great. I feel so proud about it, really.
Yeah, you need to keep foot on the gas because this is an album-sized album, right?
I'm sized out.
It's interesting to think about how music has changed, right? In terms of the split between the pop and the underground sphere, just in the way albums are created, right? Like
Right,
the pop sphere, it's like data dumps, right? There's like 28 song albums that are
right,
all just kind of with similar trap beats, and it's just kind of getting you to stream through. And
sure,
but in the underground, it's like curated, very vinyl centric, like 10, 11 songs, 30-minute albums, right? And this isn't either of those.
no,
It's 52 minutes, right? It's like this is an album sized album. This isn't like the first of 7 you're gonna drop this year, right? This is the one.
right. And I feel like, man, like I truly respect the hustle, the grind of what I see is the new underground, where it is like that, where it's
Right,
like
right, right.
you pop out every other month with 7, 8 new joints, and you keep it coming, you keep it going. I respect it, but I'm not I wouldn't be good with that, man. It wouldn't hit as hard. And there was talk about splitting you know, we got what, 15 tracks.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, we had about 22. There's a couple in the cut where we could have done that, where we drop 9 or 10 and then
Yeah,
a couple months later do 10. But it's like, no, this is the record, this is the album. And like, me and you are of a certain age, man. We grew up like
right.
albums were like they were so special because you knew that someone fucking took the time to like really put everything they had into it, from the sequencing to the beats to the song selection. And
Right.
now I feel like it's more or less about like, yo, I just got to keep getting my streams up. I got to keep because people's attention spans are fucking short, man. And I get it. I totally get it. But I'm from an era where it's like I want to fucking like put out like a statement every few years. I'll do little side projects here and there.
Right.
I'll do little EPs and projects with other producers. That always. But when it comes to my like albums, I want to make a fucking album.
Right. And you're faced with a question, right? As an artist, like people's attention spans are short. That's a fact, right? Are you gonna feed it? Are you gonna feed that, fight it, or are you gonna do a combination of both, right? Like
Right.
you can have there's a way to drop Lucy's freestyles, EPs, whatever, but save up for your big power punch of an album.
Save up those cuts. And trust me, man, we worked on this record for almost a year and a half. There were so many cuts where it's like, oh man, I just want to drop this right now. You just have to have the patience, and you have to have the and all this is again from experience. And I tell younger artists too, man,
Right.
all that, oh, it's about to go down, you're not ready, teasing stuff. I literally used to fucking talk about stuff that wasn't even done yet. It
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
even
yeah.
done. I didn't fucking mention this record until we had the vinyl in our fucking hands, and it's like that makes a world of difference, man, because it's like, it's official, it's coming, so it's like I respect the new way of doing things. I
Right.
admire the new way of doing things. Myself as an artist, oh shit, fucking pouring now. Myself as an artist, like I just can't, you know, I can't do it that way, man. I have to, like you said, I like that phrase you use,
Right.
power punch. Like I have to keep the best stuff for that full body of work that I want to present in a couple months, you know what I mean? Or a couple
Right.
years, whatever it takes. I sat on a lot of stuff for a long time because, I wanted to make sure that it was like I'm presenting to you guys my best stuff.
Yeah, and that's there's so much on this album, Triumphant, that really like shows itself as stuff that you worked on for a while, right? Because one of the things we were talking about your album, and I was still okay. Nice was the guest, and we were talking. He's a rapper from Minnesota, and he was like, "This is my first Reef project I've heard. Like, this is great." And
Nice.
I was like, you need to go back and listen to the airing of grievances.
Thank you, bro. A lot of people sleep on that record, man.
I fuck with the airing. The airing of grievances was dope, and just really dope conceptually, really well executed. But and always tell people to go back to that. I would say the thing I was listening to, track 5, Revelations, and it has that cut piece that is the genesis of Miraculous.
Hmm?
Am I
See,
crazy? Did I catch something?
my man. No, like, listen, I do that a lot. I do that more than I do that a lot because I'm like, yo, this song is great. This part right here is really really dope, and it could be used again for something else. I've so a lot of I'm let you in on a secret. A lot of my hooks, man, a lot of hooks be lyrics from other songs. You know what I'm saying? Like yeah. So, but thank you for saying that, man. Shout out to Hodge from Dumb High, my brother. One of the greatest producers. Like you talked about that. You know what I'm saying? That tri-state connection. That's my guy right there. You know what I mean? I feel like we we put together songs, we put together music, we throw it out there, and we don't know if it's going to stick, whether it's going to land, whether it's going to connect.
Right.
And what I've learned is that if it doesn't, I mean, we can still use elements of it or still try to resurrect it in its own way. And my hope is that more people will, like you did, recognize, like, oh shit, this is a part of this. You know what I'm saying? It's all
Yeah.
one. It's all connected, bro. Like I want people like your man. If
Right.
he doesn't, he never heard nothing before the Triumphant, right? So if he goes
Right.
back and hears the airing of grievances and he hears
Right.
that, he's like, oh shit, like I like that stuff, man. And I feel like
Yeah.
why not? Why can't you use a part of a lyric that's a dope ass lyric and turn it into a hook or a song? So.
Right. No, Kay, we were
I
just
really
talking.
appreciate you saying that, man, because a lot of people sleep on that record, man. I love
Yeah,
that record.
I'm with Kay. We were just talking about how Miraculous, one of the best songs on Triumphant. There's it comes from a chunk of Revelations with DJ Skidmore off of track 5 off of the airing of grievances.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically did that, knew that was a dope idea, and grew it out, right? And we've talked about this before, right? Me and Kay met just at work on breaks and shit, talking about writing and stuff. And sometimes you write a story and you're like, man, this side character needs his own story. Like
Right.
you gotta you gotta develop that out. So that
Yeah.
seems to be you're like you've given your permission to do that. You've given yourself permission to do that, which is critical. Yeah.
It's always good when people recognize the side character needs like their own. I always look back to like one of my favorite shows ever is The League. There was a character named Rafi. And Rafi was like, he popped here and there, but eventually they had to like give him his own platform because like he was so good. You know what I
Right.
mean? So when you have songs that maybe, I think Revelations is a great song, beautiful song.
Yep.
Um, but that album didn't get as much love as I felt like it should have. So when we were going through stuff and working on stuff, it's like, yo, I have this hook idea, but it's kind of like taken from this song. Still work though, and like it 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 brings it full circle, man. So that type of stuff, I'll be a fan of forever. That's little hip hop, like little nuggets here and there.
Incredible. Incredible. Oh, so Kay, how did you? What did you? We talked about Triumphant and how crazy it was and the runs on it. Going back to it, what is the most surprising part of it for you? Oh, your volume. Volumes.
Hear me? Sorry, let me turn it up a little bit.
Yep,
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yep, gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, I think like listening to it again, like the transition from Fences to Miraculous was even more jarring. And it's kind of funny that I came in while you guys were talking about Miraculous.
Word.
But I mean, that was like a very jarring, and it hit me harder like the second time that I heard it. Like,
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that was done intentionally. You know, sequencing is a big. I I take that very serious. But for me, it was like that sequence of the light of day.
mhm.
It's offenses. It's like, oh, this is very serious. This is kind of somber. It's kind of sad. It's like like you said, let's jolt people back into joy, into I've been through some shit. I have problems with drinking. I have problems with, my relationships with my family, all that shit, right?
Right.
But at the end of the day, there's still hope, and I'm still beautiful, and my people are still beautiful. And you know what I mean? That section is so dark and so like, there's a lot going on there. I'm revealing a lot. But then at the end of it, it's like, no, let me explain to you that like I'm not downtrodden about it. I'm not broken about it. Yes, these are real things that I deal with, but now let's get back to celebrating the beauty of life and the beauty of being, a black man that has overcome a lot of shit. And that's the whole theme of the album is the triumphant. That's why we called it that. Like, man, listen, we are triumphant to still be alive, to still be out here, still fucking living, raising our kids, not in a fucking cage, not locked up. We are the people are the triumphant. And I had to like, snap people back into reality with that. So I appreciate you so much for, feeling that. I didn't mean to, I hope I didn't upset you. You know what I'm saying?
No.
I'm glad that you said jarring. I'm glad that you felt like it was like,
Yeah.
oh shit. Like you felt that what I was trying to do right there. Cause I'm like, yo, let me snap you back into what the vibe of this shit really is,
Yeah. And I love that you used the Once Upon a Time sample. Well, not really sample, like that snippet. Because that was one of my favorite scenes of the movie. And so he had that little breakdown in the trailer, and then the very next scene he goes out and he just does, like he handles his business, like he just kills that scene. So
yeah,
I thought it was well
Reef
done.
doesn't give a fuck though, Keith. Reef will rap over the HBO music and kill you. Like he doesn't give a fuck. So, but my relation with Fences is insane. It really is. Like, so when I first heard Fences, like sometimes there's songs that are like exactly dialed into your life and lessons you've learned, and it's weird. So I listened to it. I was like, man, that shit was dope. Bring it back. Played it again. I was like, man, so the third time is when I started bawling like a baby, like covered in tears. Of course, it worked. And so then I played it 4 times that day, and then like I played it in the car for my wife once. I was like, this song ruins me, and she's like, I understand why. And then and over time, it doesn't make me sad anymore. It's become an anthem, like. It's become something I sing along very loudly to. Only Vanity would make it just kind of. It's become something triumphant in this weird way. Yeah.
I mean, listen, man. That I feel like that song. Unfortunately, um, for men especially, is like, it's we were raised that way, and a lot of us are just not trying to be our dads, man. Like, my actual father was, he was messed up on drugs, so he wasn't around. And in his place was my stepfather, who he provided a good home, but he also was like a verbally and sometimes physically abusive asshole. And I mentioned him here and there over the years, like, one or two songs I might have dropped something about what I went through as a kid, but I'm at the point now where I'm comfortable with calling that shit out, man, and also calling myself, because again, like we talked about before Kay got on about like, being a father, and that's a hard cycle to break, man. And like, my mother doesn't get a pass either, because she let a lot of shit slide, and she also has her, crazy ways, and I just feel like we grew up in you said it best. I'm happy that they're growing up in a house in a way that I didn't, you know?
Right.
And it's hard to maintain that. But again, a song like Fences isn't to make you feel pity for me or pity for, what I went through, or pity for me is like, oh, I'm a dad and I'm struggling. It's more or less about like, can we be honest? Let's just be honest, man. Like,
Right.
I just want to be honest. I want to be real. Like, we're living in a time now where everything is so contrived and propped up, and makeup and lights and filters, and we're not being honest. And I wanted to make a song about, like, yes, I'm not doing the best I can sometimes as a dad, but here's why. But also, that's not an excuse to not try to change. So, and I feel like that a lot of people can relate.
Yeah, if Light of the Day and Fences weren't on this, you would basically be lying by omission, and they'd be like, "Boy, isn't Reef a beacon of hope?" And you'd be like, "Man, this is I've got my shit like everybody else."
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of the saying. There's a saying like, anything you name, you own. You know what I mean? So, being able to name and clearly identify these things helps you gain mastery over them.
Right, right.
I love that. Nah, for real. Anything you name you on, I'm gonna start using that.
That's
Yeah, I mean, like, you can't. No one else can use shit against you if you're being like, no, I get it. This is this. You're right.
Yeah.
I am, like, you know what I mean? Like, instead of retreating or denying or being like, this isn't who I am, being like, yo, this is who I am. And I wanted to do that also because, man, like, social media, all that other stuff, like, the most people, man, I'm the fucking father of the year. But I wanted to be like, no, I'm just like you. Like, I want you to know, like, yo, bro, my life is like the rest of us, especially in these times with everything going on in the world and inflation and just trying to survive. Bro, I'm under the gun like everybody else, man. And I don't want you to think like you're some anomaly. Like, no, we're in this together, brother. Like, we're all fucking out here fucking just trying to make a way, you
right.
know?
Yeah, no, it's makes sense to me. The the other thing I was going to this is a soul record. Like, this is a soul record. And part of the reason it's a soul record is Irv the villain. Like,
Shout out.
Irv the villain on track 2, and then on the last track, on the title track, like, those it was just a really important thing to bookend the warmth and the heart of this album, right? Like, I remember my buddy saying, yeah, like, great soul music is hard to describe, you just feel it, right? And that's kind of how that is. You just feel the soul presence on this record.
Listen, man, that kid, like, if people watching are not aware, please look up Irv the Villain. He's a
Yep.
rapper, he's a singer, he's a songwriter, he's a bassist, trumpet, organ, keys. He's a savant. He's a fucking savant. And I've been wanting to work with him for a while. He's a Philly kid. We've been in the same, areas and circles for a long time. And again, in the back of my head, it was one of those things like, this is for that, this is for
Yep.
we're saving it, you know what I mean? Like, we're saving that for that. And I gave him the beats. I told him what I was talking about, and he just, those hooks are all him, man.
Wow.
Those hooks are all, I had nothing to do with nothing. With whatever that boy is singing on those records, he wrote that shit. He sang that shit. He. I mean, just, I can't thank him enough. Incredible talent. I'm hoping that this, he's been getting some good looks from this so far, and I hope that it continues, and I hope that people realize, like, this city, man, my city is just brimming with fucking just talented, just incredible people. And I ain't no big shot, I ain't no mister, but like, I got a little bit of pull, and I got a little bit of light. So why not? Why not? Like, why would I fucking, go out and reach out to, a guy that's already, making money and already on and known to sing these hooks? No, let me holler at Irv the fucking villain. And you
Right.
know what? That kid, he knocked it out of the park. Everybody across the board, the 2 songs that he's on, are favorites, and I knew they would be. And you know, I mean, I think the Triumphant is the title track is you know, one of the best songs I've ever made, and it's because of and my boy Andrew. Shout out to Andrew. You know what I'm saying? Surfer Boy Andrew. $3 Pistol Record. Shout out to Zilla again.
Absolutely.
And his beat, and I think Herb's hooks. I mean, I mean, my raps are cool on there, but those two things, that beat, that hook, I mean, those really made the song. So
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, and the other one I wanted to give a shout out to, because I swear when this verse started, like I was freaking out, just in terms of We Around. When I Know Brasco, when I
yes,
Know Brasco started, I was like,
Rasta,
you got fucking Scarface? How did he get Scarface? Like,
yo,
that dude sounds
yo.
like Scarface.
I had to pour some wine.
Oh, your volume's
Um,
okay. You cut out a little bit. You good?
where?
Yep, I'm here. What you said?
Sorry, too. One thing about y'all, man, y'all gotta learn when when you do a podcast with me, man. I'm gonna be rolling around the house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Doing background.
Yep.
Another kid, another Philly guy, another guy that deserves to have the fucking, the world know his name. I Know Brasco.
Yep.
That dude has been a fucking menace in this city for so many years, and I have nothing but love, respect, and admiration for that guy. And I knew, man, I was, again, put it in the back of my head, like, this is for this, you know?
Yep.
I had that record in the tuck, bro. Like, I'm telling you, it all came together. Brasco is fucking like, and like live, bro. Like you heard like him rapping, but
Yep.
you have to see him live, bro. You have to. Like I feel like on my live performance shit, I feel like I'm one of the best to ever do it. But I put that guy right there, man. He's fucking incredible, man. So yeah, shout out to Arno Brasco. Shout out to West Bear One on the beat, my brother Bear One. Like yo, man, like another one, like again. And I had that beat from Bear for a good 7, 8 years. I put all these records to the side, man, because I was like, this is for this.
Yep. Yep. That's awesome.
Did you have like the story arc for these albums? Like, did you have it already established years ago?
Yes, I've been working on this album in my head for I don't know how long. I was stashing beats for it. Um, I was stashing rhymes for it. I was stashing features for it. The whole nine. Like I've been setting this up for a while. I wanted the record before this, the Majestic, was kind of what like it was like I felt like I was there with it, but I knew it wasn't. I think the Majestic is an incredible record. I love it.
Yep.
But I felt like there was certain things. You know what it was, man? I knew in my heart. Okay, I knew in my heart that some of the rhymes that I wrote, some of the hooks that I wrote, were not up to par with what I could do. So for the Triumphant, this was the first time that I rewrote, re-recorded. No, that's not it. We got to do it again. And I didn't do that before because I would be like, oh, it is what it is. Artists, being fucking lame artist dude, like, oh no, whatever comes out, this is what it is.
Right.
I like genuinely buckled down in the studio because anyone that knows me, man, I hate the studio. I know it sounds crazy to say with as much music as I have, but I try to come prepared with what I wrote. I lay it down in one or two takes, and then I get the fuck out of there. It feels like work. But
Yeah.
this time around, I embraced being in the studio. I embraced editing. I embraced rewriting. I embraced, you know, um, collaborating with people. Is that my daughter? Why is she screaming like that? I embrace collaborating more because if you listen to a lot of my records before that, it might be one or two people on there, but like this time around, we got a gang of people, man. We got a gang of people. So many different producers, singers, artists. I wanted to make it just like as big as possible. I keep going back to what you said in the beginning. It's an album-sized album. I
Right.
think that sums it up perfect. You know, it's an album. I really wanted to make a fucking album. You know, and I mean, obviously, I've made a bunch, but I feel like this is one that you know, I'm very very proud.
Yeah. And Kay, I was the thing that I think hits me hardest when I go back to it is, and it's one of my most listened to albums that's come out of recent vintage. I would say the emotional extremes of it are incredible, right? Like the miraculous on one end, empty on the other end, right?
And
Like
the Phil Spector.
just crazy to have these things living all together on these, like, basically bearing your heart no matter where it is, right? Good, bad, or ugly. Just but bearing your heart wherever you are. That's the triumphant, you know?
It is, and also it's like, you know, a song like "Empty Man." It doesn't seem like it should line up with, but it's all about placement. It's all about perspective. It's all about I'm not one thing, man. I'm going to talk about my life. I'm going to talk about my demons, what I'm going through, you know, the world in general. I'm gonna try to make music that people feel uplifted to, but also in that, I'm still gonna do a song like Empty where I'm just letting you know I'll chop your head off.
Right.
And I have all of it. I have to do all of it. And I
Right.
think my you know, my fan base, um, it's a unique one. It's not a big one, but it's one that understands that when you get an album from me, man, that's what you're gonna get. You're gonna get everything, bro. You're gonna
Yeah.
get the whole thing, and it's gonna work somehow because it's not contrived. It's not, you know, oh, we're doing this song. We got to do a song like this, and we got to do a song like that. And you got to have a song for the ladies. We got to know we're going to just do like what comes natural, and I think it comes off as natural. I don't think anyone listens to anything I do,
Right.
especially this record, and thinks like, oh, this dude was like planning this, like, you
Yeah.
know, I had a blueprint in my head, yes, but it was all coming from a genuine natural place, and I think that comes across.
Right. I'm with you. And it's impressive because I think as you grow, one of the things like that I worry about people as they grow, don't leave behind the lessons you've learned, right?
No.
So if you handed the triumphant to Vicious Cycle era Reef, Vicious Cycle era Reef would love this fucking record because
Yeah, man.
Rafael De La Ghetto's on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because Empty's on it, because all these fire breathing badass songs are on. But it also achieves something more that Reef wanted to get to.
Absolutely. I was trying to make that record back then, and like, you
Right.
know, there was a lot of stuff that man, listen, I'm be honest with you. I don't even listen to a lot of the older stuff just because I know
Mhm.
it could have been better. You know, this is the first record, honestly, man, that after it was done and after it was out, that I've continuously gone back to listen to because I'm like, this is really good. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I like Smile. I'm like, this is, you know, again, I tell people all the time. I tell you guys, you know, I've been trying to. This is what I was trying to do the whole time, man. And I think, you know, 41 years old, in three kids, a fucking mortgage, you know, just a world weary. Like I've lived, brother. So
Yep.
this is the culmination of all that, all of it, all of
Yep.
it.
Yeah.
Was there like was there a breakthrough moment or an aha moment for you along this journey where you really just like kind of, I don't know, broke through maybe a self-imposed ceiling of
Yes, no. There was. I think it came. You know, when it starts off, you're just working on stuff. I think it came around um midway through where we had joints like Fences and we had joints like The Light of Day. Because at first it was mostly, you know, more of the way I record, I usually do the easier stuff. The easier stuff is the more lyrical, I'll chop your head off stuff, right? I could do that in my sleep. When we started doing the more introspective joints and it started to sound like an album, and I played Fences, there was a few people in the studio. I wanted to play some joints, and the whole room fell silent. I'm like, okay, I have to see this through, and I have to have it make the same level, the same type of quality. So yeah, so I would say about a year in, where it was just like, okay, this is different, this is special, and any artist, anybody that does anything that they truly love to do, whether it be art, whether it be business, it could be fucking sports, whatever it is that you're into, and in your heart, like, okay, this is different. I would say about halfway in, about a year into recording and finally starting album starting to take shape, that I started to realize, like, okay, this is special, and I want to make sure that I continue it and make it as good as possible. And that's where I talked about with y'all about the re-recording stuff, rewriting stuff, listening to stuff 7, 8, 9, 10 times. And this is not something that I did before. I literally would just record whatever came out, one take. That was my whole MO. I did it in one take. You know what I mean? Like,
right. It's like a mixtape mentality. You know what I mean? It's like
it was that hungry battle rap MC mentality of just like, I'm going to show you how dope and how easy this is for me. And when I finally said this shouldn't be easy, this should be hard, this should make me, I should agonize over the way I said a word,
right.
like, and want to record just literally. This is the type of stuff that we did. I would say a word and I didn't like the way it landed with the word that was supposed to rhyme with. It didn't sound as fluid. So we had to do it 3, 4 times until I got it. I never did shit like that. But to me, that made all the fucking difference, man.
Yeah.
That made all the difference.
The fine-tooth comb. Yeah. Putting it absolutely. Yeah, that's so important. And I think the sequencing is part of what makes this your best album.
I like that more. I might like the sequencing more than I like the recording, bro. I sit there. It's the most fun to me because it's like, yo, I like putting together records, man, and like,
right.
That sequence, that the final sequence that you guys all heard, that went through, again, fine tooth comb. That went through about 7 or 8 changes, man, until it was like, this is the record. This is how it should flow. This is how it should sound. All Be Over was going to be the last record, and I was like, no, we can't end it on a note like that. That's kind of somber. You know what I mean? Like, the Triumphant was like up in the like 3rd, 4th track in certain. And I'm like, no, we have to end it with the Triumphant. All Be Over is the song. That's the pendulum or whatever that word is. That's the song before. That's kind of like, but then it's like, again, the same way we did it with Fences into Miraculous. Okay, oh, shit's hard, oh, blah, blah, blah. But boom, we're still here. We're still fighting,
And I sometimes we get caught up on like, oh, the first song and the last song have to be great and all this. And like, beyond that, I think if you're doing a song, if you're doing an album that has like 15 set tracks, what the Triumphant has that I think any album that long should have is gateway songs that unlock the next section of the album. Right. So Tangerine is the best example to me, right? Because you're going from empty, you're going from like, some hard songs like Rafael de Ghetto, and then Tangerine hits and it's different immediately. And this has changed and the tone has changed. And
we're gonna slow it down a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we get into the thoughtful stuff and the personal stuff. But then I think another gateway song, I think Umar's Revenge is probably the gateway to the second half.
Yes.
Gateway to the end. Yeah.
Umar comes in with that fucking, that raw shit.
Yeah.
And we get into Young Bull and Murderers Row, and you know what I mean? We, again, it had to be, and again, this is why it took me 7, 8 tries to finally, feel like I got it right. It couldn't ever be a point where it was like getting too slow, too dark, too depressing. You know what I mean? Just at that moment where it was like, damn, this is heavy. You get your spirit lifted back up. You know what I mean? You get that feeling again of like, oh, this is raw shit. So again, it's a balance. And I think, man, listen, I grew up in a time where albums sequencing was a big fucking deal. And I learned from all those guys, man. I learned from my idols about how to sequence a fucking project. And this was like my chance to like really show that skill and have fun with it. And again, I think that's a really fun thing to do. You've got a whole bunch of songs, and you have to turn those songs into a flowing, fully realized album. That's like, yeah, man, I enjoyed it. And again, 7, 8 tries, but I think we have. Listen, I'm not going to tell you guys, but there's one or two here and there that I'm like that could have went there, but I ain't gonna. You know what I mean?
Right. And I think your detail oriented song editing probably made the sequencing even more powerful, right? Even more fun to do, because you would put in the work front loaded, right, into making sure the songs were right, so that when you ordered them, it was more impactful.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. What other reactions do you have to that?
No, and I'm glad that you mentioned sequencing because it brought up a point like momentum. Like there, what? Because we've reviewed albums that were good, but the understanding of momentum was not there in terms of the sequencing. So there was one I don't know, I don't remember the name of the album in particular, but we last year we reviewed an album where like I liked the songs, but I thought like, yo, it's just too slow for me.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
I mean, yeah. Yeah.
But
I
I
truly
forgot the name of it, but I think you know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But I think what you just said that kind of rung up a bell for me is that album momentum is a thing, and it's very important.
Right.
And being able to it's like a point guard, like a Chris Paul, like being able to recognize, okay, we're gonna go fast here. We got to push the pace. All right, let's pull it back a little bit so that we can regroup. All right, now we're regrouped. Let's go again. Like there
yeah,
is
man.
a science to that.
There's a science to it that should be respected.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a lot of artists, man, I'm not knocking nobody, but I feel like a lot of that's one of the last things people consider or think about is the sequencing, um, or like how it should flow. And I always attribute it to, for me personally, the way where I really learned that or kind of cultivated that was live shows.
Mm-hmm.
Live shows should flow. If I'm doing a 45-minute set, let's say, right? In that 45 minutes, I want to hit all points, but I want to make sure that I'm not the first 10, 15 minutes is the same song. And then no, we're gonna mix and mash. We're gonna have you excited, then we're gonna have you calm for a minute. We're gonna talk to you, we're gonna spit some straight lyrics or whatever, and then we'll bring it back up and then down and then up. It's like it should be a roller coaster. It should feel like that. And again, I appreciate people feeling and understanding that that's exactly what I was trying to do, and they recognize that. And I think that to me is as much is cool as people liking the actual music, but actual liking the flow of the record. That makes me feel just as proud.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and I think when we talked about battling and battle rapping, and we talked about some of the negative characteristics of transitioning from that to make albums, but I wanted to give a positive note here that I think one of the advantages battle rappers have when they make records is immediacy and impact,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I was a short story writer, and I started doing poetry because I felt like I was getting too comfortable writing the stories, kind of getting my way to the end, right? And I was like, no, I need to hit and impact every single page, right? You need to find something crazy on every single page. And so I started writing poetry to kind of get that immediacy back. And I
Or
think you carry that immediacy with you, not, you've been king of the hill for that. So when you're able to expand and create, it's still right here because you still know how to impact the audience.
Yeah.
Whereas other people might be creative without that knowledge, without that skill set. Yeah.
Somebody told me a long time ago, I smile because but
Mhm.
that person told me that I'm emotionally intense,
I love it.
and I used to think that was like they said it as a diss. They basically were like, you're emotionally intense, you're too whatever.
Right.
But I feel like I channeled that. I've tried to channel that in my music. Yeah,
Right.
like the emotional intensity. Um, being as clear. When I say something on a record, or if I say something to you in real life, that shit is law. That shit is my
Right.
word.
Right.
That shit is like I'm dead ass fucking serious. Like
Hmm.
there's no like nobody has ever like been like, yeah, he's just full of shit. No, they know that like, what I'm saying to you, I'm dead fucking I'm not kidding around that I believe this. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I think that's something that is probably carried over from the battle stuff or whatever. But like, yeah, that's just kind of who I am. I want to make sure that I'm saying to you clearly, this is what I will do, and I want you to know and believe that, like, oh, he will actually do that. You know what I mean?
And I wouldn't, and that's why I on that clip I said super powered bluntness, right? Like
Uh-huh.
a I don't know if it's emotional intensity, but it's your ability to cut to the exact core of what we're talking about,
Yes, sir.
and with no wasted words, uh, just get there faster and get to the point, and in such a forthright way that you feel it harder. And I think that bluntness is definitely your superpower, and this is the greatest realization of it.
Right
Um,
up.
yeah,
Appreciate you, man.
yeah, man, it's a good deal. We're gonna go into recommendation corner and talk about some albums that we've been rocking. Uh, there's some good ones out. Uh, it's starting to heat up. The season's starting to heat up. So, Bem 2, I'm gonna go with Bem 2 with Juggernaut. From the UK. Bem, the first Bem is one of my favorites of his, and this one is fantastic. So I'm really enjoying that and gonna dig into that one. I'm going to give a shout out to Andrew and I Alive, who released "Damn the Man, Save the Empire," uh, which and it's an interesting idea, Kay, because both of them produce and rap, right?
Okay.
So what happens is the first side, I Alive raps and Andrew produces. And the second side, I Alive produces and Andrew raps.
Mm.
It's an interesting deal. I Alive is someone with a lot of skills, also Philly, and like he can do rock, he can sing, he can produce, and he can rap. And so he's gone in a lot of different directions and he hasn't really gotten his b-boy rapping in for a bit, so this is him back on that. It's really nice. So that project is really good. Yeah, Reef, what have you been bumping?
Um, recently, this week, right now, OT the Real, Philly MC, Prepare for War, I believe the project is called. Fucking amazing project, as always. This guy's one of my favorites. Um, been bumping still on that Benny, still fucking with the Benny the Butcher the record.
That's awesome.
Then myself, um uh Outer Space, my brother Planet and Crip, and my brother King Size. We're working on an EP with produced by the Snow Goons. So I've been listening to a lot of that. That's coming soon. So yeah, man. I mean, listen, man. I I keep it Philly, man. Like I try my best to like, I mean, obviously Benny's not Philly, but like, OT, and like, yeah, man. So yeah, that's pretty much it right now.
I gotta check the Prepare for War. I love the cover. Okay,
Yeah, man.
go to goonsgear.com, get yourself the vinyl, get yourself the t-shirt, the Triumphant. Uh,
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
lock in.
Yeah, you can go to goonsgear.com, get the vinyl. You can also go to my Bandcamp, reefthelostcause.bandcamp.com. Shout out to Bandcamp. They just dropped their best of February list of hip hop, and they included the Triumphant. So we thank you very much.
There's no way around that. You're talking about
Absolutely.
I mean, listen, man.
no way around
Again,
that.
I throw, you've
Yep.
been rocking with me for a long time. I throw shit out there all the time. Some shit, they don't even people were like whatever. But for every once in a while, there's something in the water that people are like, oh, this will highlight. So I get it. I get it. Trust
I
me, I
just
get
had
it.
to say it's crazy because Philly has the hip hop scene in Philly has such a vicious reputation. Like,
Sure.
and like for you to have survived that and come out the other side as beloved as you are in and outside of Philly.
I'm telling you, man, it's because a lot of these dudes, man, I don't listen. They're just not, and I don't want to like disrespect or like I'm not talking shit, but like a lot of these guys, man, they're not for the people. They're not of the people. They're just not. They're here to like fucking get their props and do for self. I'm at everybody's show, man. I'm retweeting everybody, like you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's why it's like I love this place. And they've entrusted me as some sort of fucking ambassador or whatever. So I want to make sure that they know that I'm doing my job, that I'm gonna fucking always reach my hand back, because so many fucking people from the city have had light and opportunity and they don't reach their fucking hand back.
No,
I'm not gonna get into that. I'm not gonna get into that tonight.
it's true. It's true. But I imagine that your life is like Book of Eli, and it's you and Khalif now on that dusty road down to the
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
down to the
Yes,
other side. So I appreciate it. This has been something I've been wanting to do for years and years. And shout out to Zilla for being a connective tissue on that, and
That's his always, man.
shout out to
Good
Andrew for
move.
doing the best work of his career. So
Yes, sir.
yeah, Philly is incredible, and I hope to go back one day.
Where are you at?
I'm in Maine.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. All right. Shout out to Maine. Yeah. All right. Well, next time I'm up that way, man, we'll fucking go with some lobster
Absolutely.
rolls. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And there's lots of venues that would love it. But and anyone, by the way,
we did a brewery up there like 5 years ago. It was a big brewery, but we didn't. It wasn't a
Oh,
great
there's
show.
so many.
the most
There's like one a week comes up. Breweries.
the most
They're building them
fun
quick.
the most fun YouTube clip of Reef going nuts on people was like an Apple in-store battle thing with Esoteric. And an Esoteric, very important, prominent Massachusetts rapper.
Shout out to Esso.
And like it was an awkward event, and Esso was kind of trying to do the best he could, and you kind of easily beat Esso, and they gave you the Apple whatever shuffle iPod thing as a reward, and you were like, we all got these here, man, you take it. You just gave it to somebody in the crowd and was like,
Yeah. That kid, his name is Liamo. He is a huge pop star in Sweden now.
what?
He won Sweden's version of American Idol. He's on tour right. Yeah, look him up. Yeah, Liamo. Yeah. We still talk every day. Yeah.
Shout out to
Wow.
Wow.
Isn't that fucking crazy, dude? He's and like the kid, like and not I'm listen. The kid grew up to be he's a fucking stud. He's a hunk,
Right.
and he's a pop star. And like I to this day we talk all the time. Again, this goes back to what we're talking about, being beloved and all that. That type of shit, you never know who you're. That kid's a pop star in Sweden now.
Right.
Shit, he's a fucking pop star. Shout out to Liamo. And that right there is the reason why we do what we do, man. It's for shit like that. Like, I'm never gonna be that.
Right.
Ever. I know that, but I could help the next kid be that, right? So
And the key lesson to learn.
Never forgot it, bro. He never forgot it.
And that's the key lesson to learn, like from the career of Reef Lost Cause, is you don't if you want to be a key figure to people in their lives, you don't have to be a superhuman. You don't have to be like an incredible, like Mother Teresa figure. You just got to be, you got to have the empathy to connect with people wherever you go. You got
Yeah,
to
man.
keep that as your law and be like, I'm going to be good to people wherever I'm at. And then I'm going to let it do what it does, you know?
You
Yeah,
gotta be like an actual, just like a good person, you know? And
Yeah.
I feel like that's super underrated in our business. The reason why a lot of people still fuck with me, the reason why we're able to book shit all over the fucking globe is because when we come to the venue, we shake everyone's hand. We say thank you for having us. We talk to the sound man. We ask him what kind of beer he wants, and we get him a 6-pack of it. You know,
Right.
like it's just like, yo, bro, you gotta be grateful for this shit, man. Because I mean, dog, listen, I'm 22 years in, man. You know how many fucking rappers I've seen come and go, and they were
Right.
assholes or fucking
Right.
terrible people. So it's like the lesson here is just be cool, be a good person. You're not greater than anyone else. I get it. If you get to a level of, you know, a Jay-Z or Drake, sure, maybe you'd be an asshole. But down here where we're all at, independent artists hustling, man, you better fucking be on your fucking P's and Q's and be mindful and mannerful. And when people reach out and say, "Hey, we love your music. We want you on our podcast," you show up. You fucking show up.
Right.
You show up. That's what you're supposed to fucking do. You show up for people, man. Because without you guys, nobody gives a fuck about me. Without people like you, nobody gives a fuck about me. And if you don't realize that or you don't understand that, you gotta get the fuck out the game, man. I'm sorry, I'm a little lit.
No, I'm cool. I'm with
I
you.
gotta go, man.
Thank you for everything. This has been
Thank you,
incredible.
man.
Respect.
Absolutely. Peace.
Yes.
What up? We got to
Yeah.
do one thing we got to do, Kay, is
Yeah.
we got to get a sponsorship from Body Armor. Body Armor fruit punch, the fruit punch flavor. And then we can have them invest in us, and with the money we can hire cronies in the back of the podcast. We can hire like a third, fourth person to be in the Zoom and overreact to everything we say.
I think that's the only thing we're missing.
That's the
Absolutely.
missing piece. Someone who's like really shit-faced and in the back of the Zoom being like, "Oh my God, I can't believe welcome to the," you know, like that. We need that. That energy.
Yeah. Like, oh, I like that idea.
That's 1 million followers. You know what I'm saying? 1 million followers we're losing because we don't have a crony. That's how I'm gonna end this episode.